everybody. My name is Dr. David P. Perrodin, and welcome to the Week 4 Fireside Chat for Educational Leadership 655, Pupil Services and Non-Discrimination with Viterbo University in La Crosse, Wisconsin. This week begins Monday, February 13th, and concludes on Sunday, February 19th, 2023. A recap, your SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis was due on February 11th. I will download all of the SWOTs, print them, grade them by hand, scan them, and return them to you within the week. At that time, I will also make a post that I have updated the gradebook. The SWOT is a versatile tool, and your objective there is to take two of the opportunities and to convert them into strengths. Good job looking into CESA services that are currently contracted by your district, and also browsing by service category in the link that I provided, as CESAs are offering more and more, including mental health, trauma-sensitive schools, and staff mentoring. And as you notice, the menu on EANS was static. However, there is an area where you can build your own service, and I encourage you to take advantage of that. Again, approach your CESA if you need services that are not on the menu, such as allergy management, or how about this? How about contracting a therapy dog from CESA? It's not on the menu now, but it doesn't mean that that's not an area that CESA wouldn't explore. A lot of the things on the menu today weren't there just 10 years ago. Another feature of services is that we have 12 CESAs in the state of Wisconsin, and you can contract with CESAs outside of your service area. That's also something that is changing in the CESA model, is more flexibility across CESAs. So please take time, become familiar with your CESA services as a pupil service director. County Human Services has an obligation to serve youth with behavioral or mental health needs, particularly when those manifest in the home or community. Be an advocate for your district. Work with your business manager and superintendent, possibly splitting costs for day treatment with the county, for example, is a better option than not having the service at all. Collaborating with your neighboring districts for professional development and support is invaluable. Here's the 2021 Community Health Needs Assessment from Gunderson Mountain View Hospital and Clinics in Adams County, Wisconsin. And as we go through this, you can identify the participants right at the top. Adams Friendship School District staff, including nursing, social worker, and principal. So your question is, did my school district participate in the Community Health Needs Assessment for my county where we represent it? And if you were represented, what impact does it have on your district? If you were not represented, you need to fight for your seat at the table. So much in this document. Again, this is led by the medical field. As the school you are contributing, you're a guest to this. You are not assembling this. This is the responsibility of the medical sector. Become familiar with it. Go into Google, do a search for Community Health Needs Assessment plus the name of your county, and it will appear. Week 3 shoutouts. Casey shared a story about a family in her district that experienced a tragic house fire. 3 of the 4 children at the home perished in the fire. The one child who survived is a middle schooler. First, all students participate in all safety instruction and drills. Second, Casey wrote of the outpouring of support for this family. Understand your memorandums of understanding, your MOUs with neighboring districts, so they can appropriately respond to support your staff and students without negotiating things like who pays for the mileage, or does the recipient district pay us back for the day the counselor spent at their school? That sounds petty, but these are real questions that happen. Jenny shared that her director of student services was involved in legal proceedings over an OCR complaint centered on a student seeking to bring their dog to school to mitigate anxiety. In the week 3 Fireside Chat, I talked about ADA service animals, companion animals, and then pets, and to have clarity on those 3 areas. I also have shared in class the Hartford School District in Wisconsin, their policy, which identifies a service animal, an ESA, and then also a therapy dog. Look at that Hartford policy, because it is the superintendent who makes a case-by-case determination of yes or no for an emotional support animal. The district administrator may grant a student use of an emotional support animal on a case-by-case basis if necessary and not disruptive to the environment or other students. That statement was taken from the Hartford School District policy in Wisconsin. An ESA is defined as an animal that alleviates one or more identified symptoms or effects of a person's disability. An emotional support animal, a pig, a chicken, snake, sugar glider, etc., is recognized as a reasonable accommodation for a person with a disability under the federal Fair Housing Act and may be a reasonable accommodation under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. So in considering emotional support animals, know that we do have 2 components of federal law that come into place. This is where you'll want to obtain clarity and guidance with your school's legal counsel, also your Board of Education. But the federal Fair Housing Act, and then also Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, both make mention of emotional support animals. Shelley and Lisa discussed a therapy dog that comes in weekly at Lisa's school, and that elementary students are able to read to this dog, and she can see the smiles on the students' faces and how engaged they are. So that is a terrific observation. Write it down. Get quotes from the students. And also, I posted a meta-analysis study. So meta-analysis is a research study that looks at a lot of research studies in an area, such as impact of pets in schools, and then boils it down and says, here are 12 studies, and in 2 or 3 sentences, here's what the findings were in those studies. So looking at the meta-analysis that I post, go to pages 4 through 8. It has a streamlined grid to denote studies and findings in just a couple of sentences. And you can pull some of those objective numbers into your research findings and then into any presentations that you might make to your Board of Education in support of pets or therapy animals. Again, not ADA service animals, not comfort animals, which are one student, but we're talking about an animal that would be there for the benefit of all students. Go in and find 3 or 4 of those points. And instead of saying the research says, right? Because the next question people say, what research? And you can say, well, here are 3 studies. And boom, boom, boom. You've got 3 bullet points with statistics. Angie shared that her district is a member of the CESA Lending Library, which enables teachers and therapists to try things out before buying them, including games, switches, and books. That is awesome. She added that a coach from CESA works with district staff to strengthen interventions and supports for the district's secondary readers. Angie noted that bringing in someone from CESA can be received with hesitation or embraced. A benefit from having someone from CESA assist with PBIS or mental health might be that the CESA person has been able to observe how such initiatives operate across multiple districts. Here's a middle school that is an exemplar in PBIS. Maybe you want to travel there. Maybe you want to give this person a call, or I can ask them if I can share some of their resources or contact information with you, because it seems like an area that you have focused on in your SWOT analysis as an opportunity that you want to convert into a strength. Looking ahead to week four, mental health, trauma-sensitive schools, seeking student input. In Moodle, you will find resources for suicide prevention. Address that at the start of the year and again at mid-year. It is crucial that you have an induction process for new staff, new students to come in, and then also just people forget how these processes work. What are the signs of suicide? If I see things, who should I report this to, right? So you want to make sure that you have that down twice a year. You can do it more frequently, but at least at the start of the year and mid-year. DPI's Trauma Sensitive Schools, they have amazing online PD. It's robust, it's free. A lot of people don't even know it's out there. We have a link to it. The Centers for Disease Control, CDC, School Connectedness, so many resources on PBIS, check-in, things that increase student attendance, decrease discipline, increase academics. It also has information about the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. Wisconsin Indian Education Association and UW-Madison's Multicultural Student Center, and those have outreach. The reflective teaching annotation. Understand the capabilities and limitations of your assessment tools. The YRBS is not a mental health assessment. School staff typically are not trained or licensed to diagnose mental health conditions in children. We are in a time of disruption with OHI, 504, and long COVID, and it's been 20 years since the reauthorization of IDEA, and the roles of teachers eventually will catch up with all these changes, but it is kind of in this flux area right now. The YRBS is not a mental health assessment. It's more or less to gauge where trends are at. Again, we're not finding out information about specific students with this. So it's not designed to do that. The constructs are not created in the YRBS to have it serve as a mental health assessment. Although sometimes you'll see people use it in that capacity, that is a stretch. Student-to-student relationships have become much more complicated in our time of social media. Counselors, SRO, or your local district attorney should inform students of consequences of harmful relationships and posting compromising images online. As a Pupil Services Director, get out ahead of this. The syllabus. Read Chapter 1 in School of Errors. How thinking about a bagel can get you through the worst day of your life. What does this mean for authentic experiences for students? Will the Metaverse increase experiences or shrink them even more? How about the pros and cons of virtual reality field trips? They can be inclusive, right? Read my article about Abeyance Agreements that was featured in the November 2022 issue of Phi Delta Kappan. Be informed that Abeyance Agreements do not originate from education law and could be discriminatory practices if used to deny students services. So the article lays it out very clearly, and also expect more scrutiny upon this practice, as there will be an empirical note published on it in March of this year by Pritzker Law School. I would be shocked if abeyance agreements aren't dismantled by court rulings over the next 5 years. And as you'll read in the article, an abeyance agreement goes by a lot of different names, such as a pre-expulsion agreement. So what's the big issue with abeyance agreements? Waiving due process. Also, not creating behavioral records of events. An abeyance agreement, basically within the term of the abeyance agreement, 60 days, 90 days, whatever, once the student has complied, once they've attended school, the record vanishes. So you lose this important behavioral record. And we can see, right? We can look and say, well, there were other things that were happening with this student in the past, but suddenly this record, longitudinal record, doesn't exist to benefit that student, or maybe benefit the school to identify something systemic that's happening. So that's an important article. Read through it as a pupil services. Be very aware of abeyance agreements and how they might manifest in your setting, and be very clear on what your personal position is. All right, everybody, we've had an awesome start to this class. Let's keep it rolling. We are just 1 month away from entering, yes, believe it or not, the research module. So things are moving fast, and in 2 months, this class is over. So keep it going. Thank you, and have a great day.